Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Expectations of an Avid Gamer. And today we're talking about the expansion of Forspoken, titled In Tanta We Trust. In Tanta We Trust is the DLC story for Forspoken, taking place after the main campaign has wrapped, but showing a story that takes place before Frey was even born. Before I get into the review, I would like to thank Square Enix for providing a review code, and I wish to express that all thoughts stated in the review are my own. I love the intriguing setup for the DLC, with Frey finding an obelisk with light emanating from it, and being curious, touches it. She's then transported to a fount of magic, with the voice within transporting Frey to Talia's body, a guard to Tanta Olas. I really like the idea of starting the DLC by diving into a font, one of the sources of your magic in the story, and it's a neat idea to know that the past of Althea could be hidden around the world. Immediately, the game shows that the humor is still present, and now that Cuff has been shown to be the villain, he's more unhinged, and that, paired with Frey constantly telling him to cram it, is just delightful. Spoilers ahead, so go ahead and skip to this time if you don't want any part of that. Good? Good. The big premise of the story is finding out just what the Reddig did to Thalia in the beginning of the DLC. It seems like they infect her with something, and it's caused her to have magic of her own. Through the story, we get to interact with Cinta, as she is here to help the citizens of Althea, as a Tanta is supposed to do. Well, during all this time we spend with Cinta, she's been cold towards the citizens, fleeing at some points when they are in danger. This causes a rift between Frey and Cinta, until she explains that Thalia is a living bomb. She's had to kill other carriers the Reddig made, and while it kills her to not help her people, she knows she must fulfill her mission for the greater good. While all this is going on, Thalia is gathering energy from the Trees of Sacrifice and is getting more powerful. They end up fighting Alcador, the one who infected Thalia, and even though they beat him, it's too late. Thalia does indeed explode, but it's not in a way that we thought. She expelled all the magical energy she's built up over the course of the story, and nothing but a small bird-like creature shows up. That's right, we witness the birth of Susurrus, not in a I'm fully here way, but more in a way that a small sliver of him is in the world that goes on to gain power and become a thorn in our wrist. The DLC ends with Frey finding out one of the Tantas of Reddig was the one that contacted her through the fount. There was a great many things that delighted me about In Tanta We Trust. First off, Frey constantly telling Cuff to shut the fuck up when he starts going off made me laugh so much. She's so sick of his crap, and it's legit funny to me, and it almost feels like I immediately regret my decision moments when he's annoying her. Frey being depowered at the beginning is funny as she attempts to unleash her magic only for nothing to happen. Getting to see Cinta in action was awesome, and I kinda wish we could unlock her magic set. The Reddig definitely show they are forced to be reckoned with, and properly introduce themselves as the threat that was spoken about through the base game. I like the idea of increasing your powers through the trees, even if it felt a little wrong since, people were sacrificed to them. Watching Frey fight with Cinta about saving people is a good character moment, as it shows how much Frey has grown as a person, and she even calls Althea her home. I love Alcador. He's such an intimidating force and really charismatic, being more amused than angry when things don't go his way. Even if it was through Thalia, it was nice to see Frey and Cinta bonding. The music was more the same, and that's a great thing. It did feel a bit more fantasy than the base game, which makes sense since overall this is set in the past and it's more of a grim setting. The gameplay was also more of the same, which again isn't a bad thing. You get most of your traversal options, with the parkour aspects being locked away at first, until the game opens up a bit and lets you roam around the city of Visoria collecting your powers. I do think the powers are a little underwhelming, being reskins of stuff you can do in the main game, but it works for the short adventure. You get a Sword Slash and a Magic Blast for the R2 attacks, and a Magic Spear, Ram ability, and Area of Effect Magic Blast for the L2 attacks, all of which can be comboed with Cinta. With that, you can crystallize enemies, and then have Cinta do a follow-up attack, and also, you can just continuously attack, fill up a gauge, and Cinta will provide a ultimate attack of sorts. The graphics are as beautiful as the base game, and using the magic that looks like Cuff's final form is a really good concept and even foreshadows him showing up at the end like he does. In closing, I found In Tanta We Trust to be a bit of a disappointment. Not because the DLC itself was disappointing, but it set up things for a sequel or more DLC, and with Luminous Studios being closed, I have no idea if any of it's ever going to get paid off. It was a wonderful addition to a game I ended up loving a bunch, and I love the extra lore and character building added, especially with Frey calling Althea her home. Overall, I'd say it's worth getting, especially for the added story bits. I do hope that we can see a sequel someday, or some extension of the story. It's a very interesting world, and I'd love to see more of it. In Tanta We Trust can be purchased for $12.49 USD by itself, or for $25 USD included in the Deluxe Edition upgrade via Steam or PlayStation 5. Thank you for watching, and try not to die out there.